Hello and welcome back to The Movies Made Us Do It. Me and Matt are back. How are you doing, Matt? Hello?
I muted myself, I'm sorry.
That was superb. Are we keeping that in? Should we keep that in? I don't know.
Yeah, why not?
That was kind of fun. I thought you just were like, fuck this. And quit.
No,
How are you doing,
sir.
Matt? I'm doing good. Doing good. I've seen a couple of fun movies this week.
Good.
It's been all right. You are still trying to get over this cold. So we'll just say that up front. But, you can do the best. Soldier through as best you can. I feel like my time is coming soon, but I have managed to avoid most of this so far, touch wood. So, do you want to kick us off?
Did you watch Heretic?
I did not, but you can tell me all about Heretic.
Well, I'll start with Heretic then.
Sure. Tell us all about it.
Heretic, directed by Scott Beck and Brian Woods.
Mm-hmm.
Starring Hugh Grant, Sophie Thatcher, and Chloe East.
Mm.
And an appearance by Topher Grace, who, it's almost a blink and you'll miss it, really. It's like, oh, when is Topher Grace going to do something? It's like, oh, he's not really.
He's not. He's Nicolas Cage in this film.
Yeah, he is so not appearing in this movie. So, basically, we've got Sister Thatcher and Sister Barnes and Sister Paxton are Mormon preachers who are going around, sort of not exactly converting, but spreading the word, as it were. So they've got a list of. First of all, you see them walking around, and there's some really cool interactions between them, and they're sort of talking about porn and sort of stuff that they probably shouldn't know about and things like that. And one of them gets pantsed by some passing girls.
Right.
And it's a really nice little interaction between them as they sort of go around. They've got this list of people who have expressed interest in the Book of Mormon.
Mm.
So they're going to see one of the people on this list, which is Hugh Grant.
Yeah.
Or his Mr. Reed. So you've probably seen the trailer. So you see that, they knock on the door. He invites them in. There's a smell of pie baking, and oh, my wife's just in the kitchen. She'll be with us in a minute, because they're girls are like, we're not allowed to be in a room with just like a guy.
No, it does seem like Stranger Danger situation, for sure.
Sketchy as fuck. But of course he starts, every time he has this sort of like excuse, he sort of says, oh, no, she's really there, she's just there. And you get to the point where he's like, so do you really believe that my wife's back there?
Fuck no.
You've seen the evidence. I mean, because they can see that this. One of them sees that the candle is a blueberry pie candle.
Right.
And they try to leave, but the door is locked, and they basically then say, oh, just come through here. My wife's through here. So they're like, they're apprehensive. They still think this is wrong, but they've not really got much of a choice. So they're sort of,
sure.
Something's not quite right here. So they go into this room with him, and it's basically a converted church.
Mm.
And he then proceeds to say, right, I want to talk to you, because he seems to be knowledgeable about religion, and he basically tells them that he's studied all the religions, and he's, trying to sort of seek out true faith and how it works and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And he plays them this song. Now I'm going to mess up what songs they are now. But he plays them this song, and he says, have you heard this song before? And they're like, no, I've never heard this song before. And he's like, well, I'm sure you have, because this song was ripped off by Radiohead.
Right.
There's a trial and everything, so, and this, so then he goes on to say, this is like this, and he says, here's about this. So he puts down a Monopoly.
Mm-hmm.
He says, you've all played Monopoly, right? He says, and now you've got this this version of different versions of Monopoly.
Oh, preach.
Yeah.
Preach, Hugh Grant. There's too many fucking versions of Monopoly. I agree. Novelty versions of Monopoly can get in the fucking sea.
Do you know, I liked it when they first started.
Yeah, I'm so sick of it now, though. Yeah, we all liked it at first, right?
Yeah, now it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So he then puts down this other board, and it was what Monopoly was ripped off from.
Right.
It's like the tax game, I think it was originally called.
Yeah, there was something, wasn't there? Yeah.
Yeah. But it was a QI question once, I remember.
I think that's where I know that from. I've never actually seen the board game myself.
No. And then he puts down. He's talking about religion. He's talking about the different branches and how they work. And some of the things he says are clearly fucking wrong.
Yeah.
Some of the things he says about Egypt and Horus and stuff, it's like, well, that's not fucking true. But anyway, so he puts down like.
But I guess they wouldn't know that either.
Probably not. You'd have thought maybe not. He puts down the sort of the Talmud, and then he puts down the Christian Bible, and then he puts down the Quran. Mm-hmm. And he's saying, which version's the version? Is it the original version, the popular version, or the new version?
Mm.
And he goes into all this sort of like really the stuff he says is fucking cool. It's a really great scene where he's sort of explaining how music has ripped off each other and there's court cases and all that sort of stuff. And then he talks about religion and it's amazing, and his performance is absolutely stunning. He is really enjoying his villain phase of his career.
It's my favourite phase of his career, if I'm honest.
I've always liked Hugh Grant, so
Me too, but this is like, he's like, I love it when actors and actresses in their later years just like go, do you know what, about face, I'm going to do something totally different and totally own it.
Well, apparently the director said he saw him in an interview saying, I'm better for playing, the floppy-haired dude. And he wrote apparently this part for him with him right. It's like, well, that's just perfect, isn't it? And I think this is like the first horror he's done since Lair of the White Worm, which is like late 80s.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Which
is, again, I love Lair of the White Worm. It's a big, silly, dumb movie, and it's great.
That's fine.
So basically, then he sort of divides them. So he's got one of them that seems to be more of a believer than the other. And then he says there's two, right. So he says you've now got a choice. He says there are two doors, and it's one door is belief, one door is unbelief. So then from there it goes on, and they have to choose what door, and then it's a sort of it's an escape, and it's all this sort of reflections on religion and faith.
Yeah.
And I will say the first half of this movie is fucking awesome.
Right.
It's really tight. It's really well sort of put together, and the tension's really, really built really well. Mm-hmm. You really sort of feel for these two girls. You're like, Jesus, Hugh Grant is fucking creepy as fuck.
Yeah.
And he is, every time you think he's going to do something, he doesn't. But there's that threat,
he's got that edge of like, at any moment this man's going to snap. Yeah.
Horribly murder these poor girls. But the second half doesn't fall apart, but it's a little baggier.
Just not as strong.
Yeah, it feels like the writers or the
had a great first act and then was like, damn.
quite know how to sort of sell the end.
That was how I felt about what was the Don't Breathe?
Yeah.
It was a similar thing there where I was like, 50% of this movie is amazing. And then it should have just been a short or something. I don't know. It was like you had a great concept and then you just kept it going way too long and you didn't really know where to go with it.
I mean, Don't Breathe has that amazing reveal in the basement, which is like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And that's sort of like, that was brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
But then it sort of seems to go on.
Yeah, it just goes on. It should have been a YouTube short. And I guess in this case, maybe similar. Although I guess the problem is you've got a great setup here, but you just don't know quite what to do once you're there.
I think it's more of a it needed a little more focus into,
and maybe another draft.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
And there's one particular sort of bit where I'm not going to give any away, but there's a moment where they work out what something happened, and she works out later at near the end what happened.
Right.
And you sort of think, hang on a minute. So you're telling me that person did that, and they're like that? No, I don't think so. But sure.
Why, it was just ridiculous, or?
Sorry?
It was just ridiculous, or?
It's unlikely.
Just really contrived, I guess.
It's just a sort of. Again, I don't want to say.
No, I know. I have a movie I'm gonna really struggle with the same thing. I don't want to spoil stuff. I get it. It's hard.
It's just that for what happens, certain things should have happened and they don't. They
sure.
And it's just not. You think, oh, if you'd have just, I don't know, written it a little differently, or just tweaked it here and there. I liked the end. I thought the end it's got a nice little sort of zing to it. I was more than happy with the end. Mm-hmm. And overall, I really loved the movie, and I would recommend it.
Sure.
But that it's a bit of a kicker, because that first half is so tight and so tall and so really, really good, and then it just almost in the halfway point, it's like it kind of loses its focus, and it sort of doesn't quite know where it's going to take you. It's like, oh, just
you were so close.
Yeah, it's like, just with a few tweaks, this movie could have been absolutely wonderful. But as it is, it's just very, very good, I think. So
sure.
I would recommend it on Hugh Grant's performance alone.
Yeah.
The two girls are great. I think I've seen one of them before in something, because she was good in that, and the other one I don't think I've seen before, but they were both wonderful. They have this really great like chemistry where they just sort of ping off each other, and it worked. All that stuff was so good. Really, really good. And like I said, Hugh Grant was just fucking amazing. It's worth it just to see Hugh Grant, really. And it's a sort of mostly a three-hander. It's mostly those three characters, but you do get, a few other people popping in and out, like Topher Grace. Topher Grace is their sort of elder. He's the guy that he's like their boss, if you like, and he's the one that notices they haven't come back yet, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I really, really enjoyed it. It's got some, as I said, the scene where he gives this sort of speech about, all the music and the religion and these board games and how he all equates it together is really good. You can tell that he knows a lot of shit. You can tell because he does say at some point he was a theology student. He studied all this stuff, but at some point he got a bit jaded with the whole thing.
Sure.
And now he's got a bit bibble. But the speech he gives is just wonderful. It's so good, and you can see just Hugh Grant just eating it up. It's like he must have read that and gone, that is what I want to fucking do. That's what I can see me doing. So I'm on that alone, I would say, watch it. It's great, and it is a good movie. It's a good movie that could have been great if the last half was just a little tighter and I had a little bit more focus on what it was going to do with these two girls and how it unfolds. But it's a nice cat and mouse movie. It's really real fun, and just honestly, Hugh Grant is the creepy fucker. It's just brilliant. Really, really good.
Well, a good but not great movie starring Sophie Thatcher to a great film starring Sophie Thatcher, Companion.
Okay. Oh, I really want to see that.
I saw Companion. Disclaimer, have you seen the trailer for Companion? If you have seen the trailer for Companion, continue listening. If you haven't seen the trailer for Companion, go and watch the movie without watching the trailer. I think it's great.
I was told not to watch the trailer, so I haven't watched the trailer.
Shit.
But I saw the title of somebody's video, so I know.
So you know, fine. Right, I will say, this is a spoiler that they spoil in the trailer.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. There are enough twists and turns in this. It's fine. I wish that they didn't do it, and I wish that I wouldn't do it now, but I'm gonna. I'm a hypocrite. But but I'm not gonna spoil anything else beyond what the trailer shows. And there is a lot more. There are a number of twists in this story, in this narrative, and I enjoyed pretty much all of it. I enjoyed this film far more than I was expecting to enjoy it. I knew it was from the director of Barbarian, right, Drew Hancock.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I was kind of like, well, I enjoyed Barbarian, so we'll see.
Little hit and miss with Barbarian. I think you liked it more than I did.
I think so. Yes. I think you're gonna like this one though. I do. So this film centers around a young woman called Iris and her boyfriend Josh, who we see in the opening. They kind of meet for the first time in a grocery store, and he's like, he's being Jack Quaid in that very Jack Quaid-y kind of character. He's like dropping oranges all over the floor in the grocery store, and he's just making an ass of himself. And Iris instantly falls in love with him. And then we get like a monologue where she talks about, I only felt this way 2 moments in my life: the moment when I met him and the moment when I killed him, and it kind of like goes on from that point. We then see later into their relationship, they're heading out to this isolated lake house to meet some friends. Kat, who is basically she's played by Megan Suri. She's Josh's best friend. Is who she seems to be, and she's there with this guy called Sergey, I think his name is, played by Rupert Friend, who is just awful, and two and a gay couple who are there, Teddy and Sid. Eli. Yes, Teddy and Eli. They are all there to basically have a good time. It's made pretty clear early on that Kat doesn't like Sophie. She's very off with her, and Sophie has kind of almost a panic attack, kind of approaching the place, and Josh is like, why are we having this conversation right now? Like, we're here now. You should have said this before. And she basically says, I know she doesn't like me, and I'm going to say the wrong thing. I'm going to upset her. And he's like, look, it'll be fine. Like, don't worry about it. They open the door, and it's fucking obvious Kat does not like her. Like, almost immediately. They're doing that thing that the annoying people do when they're talking to each other and ignoring the third person. Yeah. She's basically doing that. But it's made clear pretty early on that Sergey, who is with Kat, is married. He's just with Kat to have sex with Kat. It's like just an affair. But Kat says Kat has a moment with Sophie late on. They've been drinking, and she says, well, he's just rich, and I get to live this kind of rich life as long as I kind of have sex with him and do what he says, basically. But he is married, and it's like, okay, fair enough. Anyway, the next day, this is all set up. The next day, Iris goes outside. She sees Sergey. Sergey comes on to her, basically starts assaulting her when she says no. He gets aggressive. She murders him. She stabs the fuck out of him. And heads back into the house covered in blood. And she's like, I didn't mean to do it. He attacked me and whatever. And at this point, it's in the trailer. Josh shuts her down. She is a robot. She is as he calls her later on, a sex bot, but basically a companion bot. A robot who has been programmed and conditioned to love Josh unconditionally and give him anything he wants in life. Her wants are basically only his wants. She doesn't care about anything but pleasing Josh. And so from here, obviously they have this issue. Oh my god, the companion has malfunctioned. It's killed Sergey. It's killed this guy, and we're gonna have to call the police. We're gonna have to deal with it. But it's further complicated by the fact that Josh modded her to allow for certain things. So it's more complicated than, oh god, we can't just call the police because there's a potential issue here. And
broke the PlayStation warranty.
Yeah, you broke the warranty, friend. But I can't really talk about much else because there's a lot of twists and turns in this that I thoroughly enjoyed while I was watching this movie, and I'm not going to spoil them for anyone. I will say I think the cast are superb. Sophie Thatcher is fantastic in the lead. This is the first lead role I've seen her in for sure. Jack Quaid is great. I think Jack Quaid is generally pretty good. He gets to play a bit of a range here, which I really enjoyed. And the rest of the cast, who have we got? Lucas Gage as Patrick, I thought was very good too. Megan Surrey as Kat was great in the role that she's in there. Eli is wonderful as well. Eli is the guy I remember him from. I think he was in season 1 of Reacher. Is the only thing I've seen him in. But he was great.
He's from What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh, of course! Oh my god, how did I not recognize him from that? That's so weird. My brain instantly went to because he plays the guy in Reacher season 1. He's the mortician, right?
I didn't remember him as that.
I think he is, unless I've just completely misremembered that. But yeah, that's of course he was.
Yeah, he is. He was in 5 episodes of Reacher.
Yeah, and he was wonderful in What We Do in the Shadows as well. So yeah, I can't believe I didn't recognize him from that. But yeah, wonderful cast. I think it's really fun. It's one of those films that I think balances perfectly when it needs to not take itself too seriously and when it does need to take itself seriously. I think the tone is spot on throughout. There are humorous moments, but when it needs to be serious or it's talking about something serious, it does manage that very effectively as well. I thought this was a hell of a lot of fun. I just can't fucking talk about it because I don't want to spoil the fun of the movie.
Is it like Humans, or like that one with
Ex Machina or something?
Box. Is it just one robot, or it's like everybody have one sort of thing?
It's established that they're like on an assembly line. It's not like a surprise that the robot exists. People are aware that companions exist and that people have them. Josh's friends are all aware that she is a companion. But the companion doesn't know. The robot doesn't know it's a robot. Basically.
Okay. I mean, that's fucking some Blade Runner shit right there.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So the robots are effectively programmed with fake memories, very Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Of how they met each other, and so they have this memory of this wonderful time they met, and this whole rich history that's been programmed between them and their partner. And we see in one scene when we get some great flashbacks, and we see when Iris first arrives, and Josh has to kind of program her, and she kind of says, sit in front of me like at eye level 3 meters away or something, and then she kind of scans his face and then knows that that's the person she loves forever. And then it imprints this whole fake memory that he's chosen, like Taylor chosen memories. So the robots in this world don't know they're robots. The companions aren't aware that they're companions. They just think they're normal people. They're just hopelessly obsessed with one person, I guess. But it works really well. Sorry?
What could possibly go wrong?
What could possibly go wrong? I had seen the trailer for this, so I did kind of know. And on one level, I wish I hadn't, so I could have gone in blind. But on the other hand, there is so much to this movie anyway. It doesn't matter. There's enough twists and turns and fun in this movie. I really, really enjoyed this. This was really good fun. Totally recommend it. I won't say any more, and I would go in as blind as you can. Like I said, the only things I've talked about here are in the trailer, so I've not spoiled any more than the trailer. But highly recommend Companion, and I guess you will end up seeing it. We'll talk about it maybe a little down the road. But for now, I absolutely recommend Companion. What else would you like to talk about, Matt?
Well, let's go for one that you've already covered, but I've only just watched. So we'll go with Juror number 2.
Juror number 2, directed by Clint Eastwood and starring everyone in the world.
Yeah, so you already covered this, but I hadn't. So I watched
it was in my top 5.
Yeah,
somewhere. So, I can't remember what number, but it was in there.
I was very impressed with it for most of the time. I mean, it's a Clint Eastwood movie, so
yeah, you know it's going to be directed well, and it's got Nicholas, and it's got an amazing cast, so they can't really miss with the acting either.
And that's all great. However, I thought the actual setup was a bit weak. The case itself was like, really? This looks like no one's done their job here.
Yeah, I did think that, because the way in which you're like, how I couldn't, the biggest problem I had was that I didn't think that the injuries would be consistent.
No.
Between the two things. But they do make a point at one point of saying that basically that's exactly what did happen. There was how many fucking murders or deaths that week, and so it was overlooked. Because J.K. Simmons, I think, his character does a good job of actually showing that actually it probably is a fuck up, because they're well aware of how kind of taxed that department was.
I sort of you go with it because
I went with it ultimately, but I agree.
They give you that as an excuse. They tell you this sort of thing, and then they tell you that Toni Collette's character is really only half on this case anyway, because she's kind of concentrating on her.
Yeah, she sees it as a quick win, right? She just sees it as a quick win for her campaign.
Yes,
she can put this guy away.
But again, you do sort of ask, why aren't you asking these questions?
You
really should. There are certain questions you should have probably been asking, but
she was convinced he was guilty, right? That was her whole thing, right? Yes. Her whole campaign rode on this guy being guilty, so she was like, "He's guilty before I even fucking set foot in this courtroom,"
Yeah. And the thing is they're all doing top-notch work. They're all
they're just superb actors, aren't they? I mean, it's hard to fault the performance they were given, right? The role they were given.
Yeah. I was slightly disappointed when J.K. Simmons basically gets unceremoniously ushered out of the building, sort of thing. And you're
did you?
Is that it now? Is he gone? Oh,
so
fuck.
I would have been disappointed, but leading up to that, I was like, dude, I don't think you can do this stuff. And so I was kind of at the point where I was like, I don't think you're not a policeman. What are you doing? So for me, I agree, but I was kind of like, yeah, he probably deserved that. He was pushing it a little far.
No, but it does. I think it does lose something with it.
It does. I agree.
His presence in the rest of the movie. Excuse me.
That's quite all right. Yeah, I agree. It does lose something with his absence.
The thing is with this movie is it's really well put together.
Yeah.
Really well directed. Really well performed. But it's honestly just a little dull.
I didn't find it dull at all. Yeah, I didn't find it dull. I really enjoyed every minute of it.
Because I don't know, there are sort of sometimes where I just sort of felt that it either needed a kick or it needed something just to sort of, bring it over. Because sometimes it just felt like they were dragging it a little. There's this whole bit later on where they're a hung jury, and they say, "Oh, let's go to the site of the murder, and see for ourselves."
Which is kind of odd, but yeah.
And the judge is like, "Yeah, no." Eventually, he's like, "Fine, off you go. Don't talk to each other. Don't touch anything. Blow up, that sort of thing." And then when they come back, they're all like, "Oh no, we did it." You don't get any of the sort of discussion on why they changed their minds. They just changed their minds.
Yeah.
It's like, well, hang on, what about, where was that? Where was the discussion with them changing their minds? What convinced these, 6 people or whatever it is, that they suddenly no, he's guilty. We see the thing. He's guilty. What? How? We didn't get any of that. So I was a bit sort of like, oh, okay, so he's guilty then, fine. You know, when you get to the sort of end, you're like, okay, I know where this is going.
Mm.
And then because you get the whole, slightly, it's been a while, spoiler it sort of thing, but
yeah, it's been out a while.
Tony Collette clearly
has a conscience eventually.
Yeah, she's basically realizes that no, this is bullshit. This is a lot of this is just circumstance and probably shouldn't have gone to trial.
Yeah,
but and then of course she goes and she turns up and it ends, and you're like, well, so people were very unsatisfied with that.
I was fine with that ending.
I was fine with that ending. I thought,
I can understand like certain people will not like that kind of ending. I personally like that kind of ending.
I think
I thought it said enough. I didn't need to know.
I think from my point of view, it's a case of, well, she's there, she knows.
I think the look she gives him is enough.
Yeah, he's already guilty anyway. He's sort of got away with it, but it's clearly eating at him. So he's just going to come clean, I think, really.
Yeah.
But so it's a really nice movie. It's a really great setup, and there's just some niggly bits of the sort of drama that I just thought could have needed a bit more clarification. Really, it just the whole turning at the end just felt a bit sudden. It was like, oh no, we're all fine now. We all think he's guilty. It's like, where was that conversation? That felt like it needed to happen a bit more.
Yeah, maybe. I'd probably need to rewatch it. I certainly didn't get that impression when I watched it. I mean, that jury were kind of easily swayed in either direction throughout the course of the proceedings. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I find, well, especially with courtroom dramas, I've really got to be in the mood, and I was really in the mood when I saw this. Whether I would have seen this as more of an issue were I not in that kind of a mood, I don't know. But yeah, I agree. It definitely does lose. I mean, I think any movie loses something when J.K. Simmons walks out the door. He's turned up in some real shit as well. Yeah. Where for 10 minutes you've got J.K. Simmons. You're like, this is amazing. Yeah. And then he's gone again. And you're like, oh yeah, I'm watching this crap UFO movie. I forgot.
Yeah. I was really, I'd forgot that Kiefer Sutherland was in it, and I was really happy when he turned up.
Yeah, I think he was. I thought he was quite good actually. He's like the AA counselor.
I love the fact that he goes to him and he's like,
"You're fucked."
I think I need a lawyer. He's like, "Well, give me $1 or something." He goes, "Hey, I might have killed someone." He's like, "Well, if you're going to prison for ever, so no, don't say anything."
Yeah. Basically, he's like, "Well, as a lawyer, don't do it."
So I like that. Like I said, all the performances were good. The woman that was like, I gotta get home to my kids, so he's guilty.
Yeah.
Like, my kids come first, so he's guilty. I don't give a fuck. It's like, Jesus Christ, love.
I loved the scene when she got shot down there by the judge. When she's like, I've got kids, I gotta get back to my kids. And she's like, your kids are in school, right? And she's like, yeah. And she's like, when do they get out of school? And she's like, 3:30. She's like, yeah, we'll be done by then. So sit the fuck down.
Hers was brilliant because she said, when the judge asked for do you have any connection to this? And she gets up and she says, "Oh, he used to be on the bus to work that I used to."
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Because it's him. Because it's Nicholas Holt's character that he says, "Oh, my wife's pregnant, and I need to."
Sorry, it's him that she says that to. That's right. Yeah.
And then when she says, "Oh, he was on the bus," and it's like, really, he was on your bus? Okay, sure. And yeah, so I mean, all the performances are good, and overall, it's a good movie because the performances are so good. Nicholas Hoult is great. I love he's very fucking good at showing
guilt and remorse, and yeah, for sure.
Looking really sort of between this and him showing fear in Nosferatu, it's like this dude is just fucking awesome.
He really has some range.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did. One thing that did make me laugh, actually, him and Tony Collette and maybe some of the others, their accents fucking came in and out.
Yeah, that I find that so often now. Like,
the thing that was a bit naff was their accents were everywhere.
Do you not find that is a real issue these days? Like, that is becoming way more prevalent in film.
It just
like, don't do accents if you can't keep them. I don't know why this is an issue, because I remember when it was like, you know, when Robin Hood came out and everyone was criticizing Russell Crowe for, you know, for being Irish one minute and Japanese the next, and God knows what.
He lost his shit on.
It was. I mean, it was a disaster. But it's like, since then, I feel like so many performances do this, where they're dropping in and out of accents. It's kind of infuriating.
I mean, I've tried accents. I'm terrible at accents.
Yeah, but we're not paid actors.
You know, no, exactly. I can just about.
And I also think with this kind of movie, it doesn't need accents. It doesn't matter. They could be from anywhere, really.
I mean, it would have been a bit more difficult for Toni Collette if she was using her actual accent.
Sure, but she can do
the lawyer or whatever it was. It's like, yeah, she's Australian.
She could do generic American, though, I'm sure.
Yeah, she could have done, but it was, and you know, I don't want to, you know, say they were terrible, but it was pretty ropey at times. It's like, oh, she lost it there, and so did Nicholas Hoult. He did lose his accent a couple of times as well.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think I'm just so used to that in films these days. I was like,
yeah. I mean, sometimes
not that makes it excusable, but
better than they do. You know, the good accent, but there you go. I mean, I did like it. It's I will say it's probably one of the weaker of Eastwood's movies.
Sure. I mean, again, you are in a situation of excellent movies, but yeah, maybe, I don't know. I'd have to rewatch it and in kind of that because when I watched it just before the top 5.
Yeah.
So, you know, you kind of have that new movie-itis about a film that you like. So I'd need to rewatch it, I think, to assess where it sits. But certainly it's not in the like top tier of Eastwood's career. No. I think it's a very strong movie, and I think it's a great presumably send off. I mean, the guy's like 100 now. I
mean, it's been said that this is probably his retirement movie.
I would imagine it is. The guy is old.
I don't think it's a bad movie to go out on.
No, not at all.
It's a good movie, but it's not Gran Torino or $1 Million Baby. It's not.
Certainly not.
And I mean, because those movies are fucking peak. Those.
Yeah, I agree. You know, or even some of his earlier directorial movies, but you know.
Yeah. But you know, it's still fucking good.
Yeah.
And it can certainly be proud to go out on it. It's not like, you know.
It's not like it's a real stinker and like, oh my god, this is terrible.
Yeah. So I mean, I would recommend it to people. But I definitely have some sort of issues with it.
Sure.
But yeah, I enjoyed it enough.
Enjoyed it enough. There we go. Well, I am mixed on this one. So I was Matt. I was convinced that you had seen this movie. I was just 100% convinced you'd seen this movie, and then you text me and you hadn't seen this movie, and I was like, oh. Okay, so it's just me for now, talking about Demon City from 2025, Netflix's Demon City. It's John Wick again. Well, kind of. I mean, this is based on a manga, not based on the animated movie, based on a manga that I've never read. And it basically follows the story of an assassin who is, we kind of established in the early parts of the movie. He's a complete badass. We see the opening scene. He's basically killing off the last of the Yakuza who are in this area. He's basically dealing with the last of the organized crime. It's his last mission. It's his final assassin job. We've never heard this before. So he successfully is very, very efficient at dealing with these Yakuza before heading back to his family. He's finished his life of as an assassin, going to be a family man now. Unfortunately, when he gets home, he is confronted by a number of young men wearing masks, and the masks are very cool. They're kind of demon masks, and they proceed to kill his wife and his child, and
his dog.
No, his dog. This time it's a wife and child. Allegedly.
Oh, boring.
Yeah, wow. Rubbish. I only like animals. So anyway, they then shoot him in the head, trying to make it look like he killed his wife and kid and then shot himself, basically. It's made to look like a suicide, but they don't kill him. He's still alive. I guess low caliber bullet, maybe. He's put in a coma for 12 years. So he's in a coma for 12 years and kept alive in a kind of vegetative state. Basically he's been blamed for the murder. It's like a murder-suicide gone wrong. So he is basically due to be... I think he was due to be released anyway, but is basically a vegetable at this point, so whatever. But one of the hitmen from back in the past, during this time, the demon people, they now run the city. One of them's like the mayor and stuff. They have the whole city now. They basically, crime was eradicated by the assassin, and they killed the assassin, and now they're in charge. Anyway, one of them turns up and tries to kill him, which takes him out of his vegetative state, and he kills one of them. He's, they kind of do even less than that fucking Steven Seagal movie. At least he did acupuncture in that movie for a bit, grew a beard, and then was like, I'm back, I'm good. In this, he kind of has a little bit of moments, and they mention he's not 100%, but like he recovers in record time.
Was that hard to kill?
Yeah, that's the one. He gets out of the hospital, then he does some acupuncture, and he's fine.
There was a brief period where he was
that was when he was king shit for like a week.
That was top of his game.
It was top of his game. It's a fun movie. It is a fun movie. Those early Seagal movies are a lot of fun. I do enjoy a lot of those early ones. Not the later ones, but the early ones.
I think he bought into his own bullshit, didn't he?
And he just got really lazy as well. He just doesn't bother doing anything, And then he became a cop and allegedly assaulted someone, and then now he's in Russia. So there we go. Life is strange, I guess.
It really is.
He's innocent. He never did it. He just wanted to run away to Russia. just for fun, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah, totally innocent. It's the actions of an innocent man. Anyway, this movie is now, as I said, I haven't read the manga, so this is probably the plot of the manga. But I feel like I'm just in a time of my life now where I have seen the John Wick movie formula so many times. We've had 4 John Wick movies. We've had Nobody. We've had Sisu. We've had fucking Renfield. Even a fucking Dracula movie they turned into a John Wick movie. It's very it's starting to feel played out to me, and I wonder whether that colored my enjoyment of this movie, because this is it's the action in this movie is very well directed, is very well put together. There's a great warehouse fight scene. It's awesome. If I had one criticism of the action stuff, it would be the CGI blood. You often get these scenes where like blood just flies all over the screen, but then there's very little of it to be found afterwards.
Well, Renfield, it was terrible for that.
Yes, Renfield was awful for that.
I mean, there's that, especially when they do the fight scene in apartment.
In the apartment, yes. Yeah.
He should be absolutely drenched, but he's not.
Yeah. There's a lot of that in this, and I would say as well, just as it's kind of a. It's not as bad as it's going to sound when I say it, but they hold the camera too close a lot of the time in the action.
Right.
It's not that bad because it's a pet hate of mine. That and shaky cam, two pet hates of fight scenes. It's not terrible, but sometimes I wish they'd pull back a bit.
Yeah.
But it's a solid action movie. For the most part, the plot is relatively paper thin. There is a twist that it was barely a twist because I knew immediately. Immediately in the opening of the movie, I fucking knew what they were going to do. So
the thing is we in the moment it's John Wick is the one that everybody remembers. But to be fair,
no, I mean heroic bloodshed is a thing. It's been around forever. Yeah. It's not a new thing.
80s Hong Kong movies and 80s and 90s Japanese movies kind of all did the same sort of things,
They did. The problem is that a genre, regardless of whether it's been done in the past or whether it's done now, if you overdo it, it becomes tired and it needs to rest. For a bit. So I just feel like we're back to we're oversaturating on this now, and it needs to settle down for a bit. No, there have been some great spins on it. I thought Sisu was great, and I thought Nobody was great. They're both great spins on it, and this is fine. I think this movie's just kind of, it's not bad. It's just fine.
Well, that's it, though, isn't it? It's a case of you if you're going to do something like that, you have to find an angle that works, and Nobody does, because it's got that the whole.
He used to be something. Yeah,
he's an older guy now. He's got a family. He's got this big family. I like the angle that they took for that one. It was a little thing. And Sisu is different because it's just like this guy who just had enough of everything.
Yes,
wants to go, and it's just it won't leave him the fuck alone.
And it's, like, strangely one of the best shot movies of that year as well. It was beautiful.
And the whole I love the fact that movie was like, I can't do the movie I want to do.
Yeah.
I'm bored, basically.
yeah.
So I'm gonna go off into the wilderness and film this with a couple of people while everybody's locked up in the pandemic.
Yeah.
What a fucking wonderful movie that is.
Yeah. And this movie by no stretch is it terrible. The plot is paper thin. That's the biggest issue, and it's kind of made worse by the fact that the lead character, the protagonist, barely speaks the whole movie, and that's kind of okay, but at the same time it's difficult when you want to see some character building or something. At least the older I'm getting, the more I want a little bit of something. And you don't get an awful lot of that. You do get some pretty cool villains, though. I mean, the demon masks and stuff are creepy as all hell.
No masks, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, they're super creepy, and they do a really good job of that, where you're not sure whether who they're looking at times because of the mask and stuff. So there's some really cool bits with that. The action is very well put together. There are some great action set pieces. If you love gore, it's full of gore. It's fine. I don't think it's the best of the new batch,
right?
By any stretch, but it's fine. I'm kind of, I was almost falling asleep at one point. But that's just because I'm kind of done with like like you. I mean, God, I grew up with these movies in the 80s and 90s as well, so it's not. But no, it was fine. It's a fine action flick. If you want an action flick with very little plot and a twist you will see coming a million miles away, then go for it. It's really good. It's good fun. The action is very good and it's very gory. So it's fun.
I'd not even heard of this one.
I was convinced you would have seen it. I didn't even message you about it because I was so convinced you'd seen it.
No, I definitely will watch it.
It's on Netflix. It came up on my Netflix thing. It was like, hey, watch this. So I did.
Weirdly, it's not been suggested to me.
I don't understand the Netflix algorithm at times. It just does what it does, but it came up for me a few times. Don't know. But in any case, I recommend Demon City if you want a, hour and a half of action. It's good fun. So, what else have you watched, Matt?
Okay, well,
Oh.
you've got your John Wick movie.
Mm.
So I've got a bullet train movie for you.
Oh, fuck me. Is this fight or is this fight or flight?
Yes, this is Fight or
Dude,
Flight.
why did they call it that? Do you know how long I had to fucking search for a thumbnail? Do you know there's like 5 million movies called Fight or Flight? I was like, oh my god. There's like an episode of Star Trek. There's fucking like everything but this movie was coming up. And I was like, for God's sake, but I found it in the end. I didn't even know this film existed.
Well, so this is a Sky exclusive movie at the moment.
Ah, okay. I hadn't even heard about it.
So I came across this while I was sick.
Right.
And it was like, oh, okay, I'm going to give that a go. I don't think it's out in America for another month.
Oh, it's an exclusive in this country, huh?
So yeah, it's one of those rare ones where we've got it before anybody else. So we've got Josh Hartnett, who is when at the beginning of the movie. It starts with one of those scenes from the end of the movie. I fucking hate it when they do that. It's like, oh, don't do that. We didn't need to see. It basically starts halfway through a fight scene, and you're like, this is what's coming up, sort of thing. You know what I mean? It's like, how did they get here? And it's like, oh, don't do that. I hate it when you do that.
Well, or don't do it unless you've got a damned good reason to do it.
Yeah, some movies can pull it off, but
for sure,
this one, it's like, oh, don't. Anyway. So Josh Hartnett's character, he's in Thailand, and he's basically he's a tuk-tuk driver who's a drunk.
Right.
Basically, you find out that he used to be I'm going to spoil a bit here. So you find out that basically he was a Secret Service guy.
Right.
And he was protecting this politician. And it turned out that this politician was a wanker who liked beating on women.
Right.
Only he didn't get the memo, so when he hears this dude beating up a woman, he goes in and beats the shit out of him.
Right.
The brother of this dude is like the director of the Secret Service, so he got shit canned.
Okay.
So now he's spent the last 2 years running on the run, and he's hiding out in Thailand and stuff. Now, meanwhile, there's this shadowy figure called the Ghost, who's been doing things in, blowing up places and doing like terrorist things, but no one knows who the Ghost is. But they've got a lead on the Ghost, and they can't get an agent or a team there quick enough before they think, oh, the Ghost is going to get a flight, and it's going to bugger off, and they're never going to be able to catch the Ghost.
Sure.
Now, Katie Sackhoff is the sort of she's the boss of this group of I don't know whether they're fucking CIA or whatever it is. They're an agency. She's the sort of boss of the agency, and she looks fucking awesome. She's got these like.
Katie Sackhoff is awesome.
Well, she is awesome, but she's got this sort of stern librarian thing going on here.
Okay.
With these
I can see her pulling that off.
Pointy specs and this sort of like almost extreme hair that she's got.
Yeah.
So she knows that he's there. They used to date. They were together when all the shit went off, and she kind of cut him off. But she knows that he can do the job, so she basically texts him and says, "Hey, I know we haven't talked for 2 years, and I left you, high and dry for my career, but I really need your help, and I'll put things right if you do this job for me." And he's like, "Fuck off." and then this team of people turn up, and he's like, "Oh, for fuck's sake!" So you're like, "Fuck it, okay, so, fine, I'm back," sort of thing.
Yeah.
So basically, they get a passport to him. He goes on the plane, and while he's there, there's a guy who sat next to him, this Spanish guy who's like doing all this weird shit, and he drugs him. Right? They end up. He takes him, but he's like, "Shit, you drugged me," sort of thing. he takes him to this bathroom. He's like, I gave you enough drugs to put out an elephant. Why are you still out? He's like, well, you can't pickle a pickle. He's been drinking so much that it's like not affecting him.
Sure.
But he says it's like there's a drunken fight scene. The fights in this are really good. I will definitely cheer for that. The fights are great. And Josh Hartnett, I've always found Josh Hartnett really charming. And
me too, actually. I agree.
He's one of those actors that I always felt should have been in more.
Yeah.
There are a couple of sort of performances that he's been in that are just like so fucking great. He was good in Black Dahlia. He's great in 30 Days of Night.
Yes.
He's just sort of one of those things that I don't think people take him seriously. My wife doesn't. She said, "Oh, what, him?" And it's like, no, he's good.
Yeah, he's been in some great stuff. I actually rewatched 30 Days of Night not so long ago. I really enjoyed it.
I fucking love 30 Days of Night.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Great.
But he's had some great roles. He should be taken seriously.
And I think people don't take him seriously enough. But anyway, he's a real sort of goofy. He's really goofy in this, which is quite fun. So like basically from here it devolves into this. Somebody has put his picture on like a contract's been put out on the Ghost. So pretty much everybody on this plane is an assassin.
Okay, right. So very, very Bullet Train.
There's your thing. You've got him. He's basically got to stop them from killing the Ghost. He's got to find out who the Ghost is, and basically keep himself alive because everybody knows who the fuck he is now.
Sure. So he's the opposite of the Ghost.
Yeah,
because everybody knows who he is.
Everybody knows his picture's on every phone. They made like even people that.
So it's like a John Wick text kind of thing in John Wick 2 when everyone gets the message. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is basically it's Bullet Train on a plane. Again, rather like your movie, it's nowhere near as good as Bullet Train,
but fine.
But it's really fun.
Yeah. Okay.
It's really fun. The fights are really good. He's great. It's sort of like, I don't want to be here. I'm only doing this to try and get my life back. This is like bullshit. And it's like every time sort of he sort of gets somewhere, something else happens, and it's like, oh, for fuck's sake. And there's a great fight scene where he's taken something. So it's kind of like that scene in Deadpool where he's got the thing in his head.
Oh, that was funny.
And he's seeing like unicorns and stuff. It's kind of like that.
Okay.
This massive brawl's going on, and like blood spurting everywhere, but he's like seeing rainbows and fireworks instead of blood spurts and stuff like that. And there's even a chainsaw fight
on a plane.
There's some really nice gore as well, which is great.
There's a chainsaw fight on a plane.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a chainsaw fight on the plane. And that's exactly what it tells you.
That tells me everything about this movie.
Yeah.
Oh, this sounds fun. It sounds like a lot of fun.
Big, it's dumb,
but it knows it, surely. It knows what it's doing.
And it's totally with it. It's like, yep, we know what we're doing here. This movie is that movie. And it's just really fun. Like I said, he's great. What's her name? Oh God, I'm sorry, my dear. Chandra. She is really good. She's I'm trying not to spoil it really, but she's great.
Charithra is what I would have gone with too.
Yeah,
she's
air stewardess who sort of helps him.
Yeah,
she's really fun. Julian Kostov is Katie Sackhoff's underling. He's the next in line. Mm-hmm. He's a real bastard, and he's suitably smarmy as that sort of I'm in charge. Oh no, she's in charge sort of character.
Sure.
Katie Sackhoff is she doesn't really do an awful lot. She's just walking around being moody and fun, which is great. I'd like to have seen a bit more. There's a really funny joke where they're having a conversation. Her and Kostov's character are talking outside where they are, and she makes this joke about fucking hipsters and stuff, which is really funny when the camera pulls back and you see that where they are.
Right.
I'm not going to spoil it, but that was a really I thought that was a really funny joke. Yeah, I don't really know any of the other cast members really. That most of them are all sort of like, what my guess is they're just like a lot of martial artists that
yeah,
just,
sure, yeah,
and stunt performers. But they're all really, really good. It's an absolute hoot. I really enjoyed it. I highly recommend it for anybody who likes Bullet Train. I think this will be, again, it's not as good as Bullet Train, but it is just fun. Real hoot. And I just love. I don't know. He was just really fun, and he was clearly fucking enjoying himself in this movie.
That goes a long way.
I will spoil one bit. There's a sting for a sequel.
Okay.
So it's like I would quite happily watch a sequel to this movie.
Yeah, cool. Well, hopefully you'll get it. That sounds fun. I will definitely check that out. So I believe you have one more movie, right?
So this one is.
I mean, I have seen a couple of episodes of Daredevil, but we'll wait.
Okay.
We'll wait and see how that goes. I think.
I'm probably not going to touch it, but
I'm giving it a go because I have been given copies. So I'm like, I'll give it a go, but we'll see. It's trying very hard at the moment to be Netflix.
I've been watching the people talk about it, and it seems
it's okay, is what I would say so far.
Yeah,
it's okay.
It sounds like it's the best thing Disney Marvel's done.
I don't think I've seen any of their shows to know. It's fine so far.
I started some of them and couldn't finish.
I hear they all kind of fall off a cliff by the end, right? At least.
Fucking atrocious.
I used to love Moon Knight. Like the comic, I mean, I used to love Moon Knight, the character. I actually had a phase where I actually really liked Moon Knight.
Yeah, he's a great character. It would be nice if he was in that series.
Oh God, really? Is that bad? Huh? Well, anyway, let's talk about your other movie. We can come. I'm undecided as to whether I'm even going to talk about Daredevil. I'm going to give it another episode or so and see how I'm doing.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh, and Reacher, I'm still watching, but I'll wait until I finish that.
I'm kind of waiting for that
to finish. Yeah, I get it. I think you've got about 2 weeks left. That'll be done.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'm doing the same with Severance as well.
Yes, I'm doing that with Severance. I'm looking forward to Severance, but
yeah. So, I also watched Destroy All Neighbours.
You did indeed, a Shudder original.
It came out a while ago now. It came out sort of like halfway through last year. But
I've immensely enjoyed quite a few Shudder originals, so I was curious about this one.
Well, I saw the trailer for this, and I was like, oh, I have to see that movie.
Uh-huh.
So, we are introduced to William Brown, played by Jonah Ray, who is a aspiring prog musician.
Yes.
And he works as a techie for a music studio, and he's been working on this album for years. He's got this girlfriend who kind of seems to have kind of had enough of his shit, really. He's constantly working on this album, and he's there, and she clearly loves him, but it's going a bit wrong for him. No, he's a nice guy. He's lovely. He's got this neighbour called Eleanor, played by Randy Heller, who I was looking at this woman and I was like, I fucking know you. I can't place where you're from. She was the Karate Kid's mom.
Oh wow, okay, yeah.
I was like, wow, cool, okay. So she's supposed to be the super in the building he lives in.
Right.
Excuse me. But she doesn't really seem to have a clue how to fix anything. So she relies on him to fix the electric sort of keeps going off, so he comes in and he's like, I gotta go to work. It's like, no, come on in. It's like several things later sort of thing.
Sure.
It's quite funny. So he gets to work, and his boss is played by Thomas Lennon, who's usually really good. So he's boss there, and he's got to work with this the latest album from this guy who's Caleb Bang Jensen.
Right.
Now, this is the guy who says, if you say my name, you have to say Caleb Bang Jensen. You can't just say
Oh
Caleb
God, okay.
or Jensen.
He's
You
one
have to
one
call
of
me
them.
Caleb Bang Jensen. Yeah, he's a asshole. And he plays part of his album to his boss, and his boss is like really enthusiastic until this twat comes in and says, "What's this shit?" sort of thing, you know. and his boss is like, "Yeah, this is shit. Never play this stuff again." And it's like, "Oh, okay, we're like that." Right. So meanwhile, at his home, one of his next door neighbors has just moved out. It's like his script for a movie has been sold, so he's off to better climes, sort of thing.
Right.
So he's got a new neighbor called Vlad, played by a heavily prosthetic Alex Winter.
Yeah.
Who is this horrible sort of caricature of a human being. And he's like playing sort of European disco all night. And
right. Yeah.
He's like working out constantly with like jury rigged weights. He's like, you know, buckets full of sand and stuff and chains everywhere, all that sort of stuff. And he's just really foul and horrible. And I'm not sure where he's supposed to be from. We're talking about accents and things. I think he's supposed to be Eastern European.
Right.
But his accent sort of goes Eastern European, Irish, sort of all over the place. But because it's in this movie...
I mean, it's the kind of movie where you're like, yeah, okay, yeah.
It does not fucking matter because
totally.
He's clearly supposed to be a fucking weird character.
Uh-huh.
So he's getting more and more frustrated with this neighbour, like playing music all night and stuff.
And also, I have known people in real life, IRL, that have, for reasons that escape me, put on weird accents.
Yeah.
Just in life.
I used to have a friend who just started copying people's accents when he was talking to them.
Oh, wow.
So if he was talking to somebody Irish, his accent would kind of morph into their accent.
Huh. That's interesting.
It wasn't something I don't think he could...
Yeah, he's probably not even aware of it, right?
Yeah, it was just something he did, which is really weird, but yeah. Anyway, so he's increasingly getting frustrated by this, you know...
Neighbour.
There's a hobo at work that keeps asking him for croissants. He said, "I gave you a croissant like once." He's got this... He plays this... Constantly plays this thing to hype him up. It's like a series of how-tos by this guy, this swing guy who was a prog god sort of thing. And it's like,
right.
He's like, it's really funny the way they sort of he says this things like, "Tell everybody to fuck off. Don't worry about your wife. Don't worry about your kids. It's all about the music," and all that sort of stuff, right? So he watches these things while he's driving along, and he gets hyped up, and then as soon as he gets out of the car, sort of thing, he loses it all.
Right. Okay.
So it's not a spoiler. Basically, what happens is he knocks on the door on the wall once, and then it all goes wrong for him. That like, you know, the Vlad comes over. Well, he phones the police. The police turn up, but Vlad's in his apartment with his girlfriend making tea and being
right.
all nuts. And the police are like, "What, this guy? What's wrong with this guy?" And of course, as soon as he's out of earshot, the guy's like, "If you'd have come to me and knocked on my door, I might have turned it down. But I'm fucking not now."
Yeah, sure.
Of course, it increasingly gets worse to the point where, not spoiling it, it's you know what's coming. He kills him.
If that's a spoiler, I'm sorry to say it's in the synopsis right on the front page of this review now.
It's not a spoiler. He kills Vlad. He basically, you know, not on purpose. He accidentally sort of through a series of mishaps kills him, and his head comes off basically. But even though he's dead, he's still talking and stuff. So he basically tries to get rid of the body, and it keeps going back, and then he ends up killing someone else, and it starts going wrong. And of course, all these things build up to basically him trying to finish off his album while he's been fired and all that sort of stuff.
This sounds very Peter Jackson-y.
It is very Peter Jackson, early Peter.
Yeah,
Jackson.
yeah, not Lord of the Rings. I meant Brain Dead and
it is
Bad Taste.
Very,
Meet the Feebles.
Brain Dead, Meet the Feebles type thing.
Yeah.
it's have you ever seen Freaked? But with
Freaked?
Yeah, it was a really early Alex Winter movie.
I don't think so.
It was one of those movies. So basically, in the movie, him and I think his two friends. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but they go to see a freak show,
right?
Run by Randy Quaid.
Amazing.
And Randy Quaid makes them into freaks. So
no, I have never watched this movie.
Like Lizard Man, the head, and then he joins the other two friends together.
Right.
And it's got this amazing cast of people, and they're all like, there's a worm boy, and Keanu Reeves has an uncredited role as Ortiz the dog boy.
Right.
So you've got this, and there's a cowboy who's literally a cow. It's batshit crazy. I recommend. It was one of those movies that came and went because I think like people thought it was going to be like another Bill and Ted, and it wasn't.
Right. Yeah.
So it kind of sort of disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
But I watched it and I fucking loved it. It's a really fun movie. This had that sort of feel about it. So yeah, like you said, it's very early. You know, the makeup's great. The some of the gore effects are fantastic. This is one of those movies that I can only recommend to people who like fucking batshit crazy movies.
I was gonna say I know nothing about this film.
Yeah.
I'm sold by the poster alone.
Yes.
To be honest, I really want to. I feel like this poster is saying to me that I am its target audience.
Yeah. I think that's it. I think that's the thing. If you look at that poster and that poster speaks to you, this movie's for you. When you look at that poster and go, "What the fuck is this?" Probably not for you.
when you sent me the text with the movies that you were covering, and I looked up this movie, I was like, I wish I knew about this because I would have watched this.
It's not the best.
It just looks like a good time, you know.
It's just a really dumb. I mean, the main character will annoy the fucking shit out of you because he's such a prick. He's like, you just think, Christ, dude, grow a fucking spine, you know, like. And
that's very bad taste as well.
What's that?
That's very sorry, not bad taste. That's very brain dead as well.
Yes.
The protagonist not having a spine for most of the movie, and just
Yeah. So he's
and the spiraling thing is very brain dead as well.
Yeah, and there's some great jokes about prog rock.
Nice.
And actually the music's pretty good. Actually, I quite like some of the music in it. It is over the top silliness that you just have to go with. If it's that sort of level of, I mean, even like some of the Japanese movies like Gore Police and shit like that. It's that sort of. Mm-hmm. This movie exists for that audience.
Yes, there is an audience for that. I count myself among them if I'm in the right mood.
Yeah,
so.
Same here. And I can only recommend it to those people. And it's not the best example of that sort of movie, but it is a lot of fun. There's a lot of like really stupid, gory stuff that happens, and I just loved it. It was just such fun and stupidity, and yeah, I highly recommend it to anybody who loves this sort of thing, because it's just over the top, stupid shit, and there's even the story beats. You think you know that this character is going to turn out to be that, or this character's going to do that, but it doesn't matter because you kind of expect it. It's just silly and brilliant, and I really loved it. So yeah, I highly recommend Destroy All Neighbours.
Well, I will definitely check this one out on a Sunday when I'm having a bottle of wine or feeling particularly silly. I will check this one out.
It's worth it just for Alex Winter's lad. He's awful and brilliant.
Awful but brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And he's clearly having an absolute ball playing this character.
Goes a long way when the actor's clearly having fun.
Yeah.
So, is there any news you would like to talk about?
All the bad stuff, really.
Yeah, it usually is, man. The news section is depressing.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's been a while now, but we haven't talked about it because we haven't had this portion of the show.
Yeah.
Gene Hackman, obviously.
Yes.
95. I mean, horrendous way to end.
Yeah, I mean the whole circumstances sound really weird and awful.
It's not. It was not an easy way, was it? It sounds very odd, and I think I still don't think they know completely what happened.
No, I mean my first thought was it was like carbon monoxide or something, and then and then maybe the dog starved or something. But it sounds very odd and very awful because it was quite a long time before they were found as well, right? So I understand it. So terrible stuff. Terrible stuff.
But legendary actor, wonderful.
I think he had some amazing performances.
I will say, no disrespect, but he was never my cup of tea.
No, we've discussed this on the show while he was alive.
Never really been a fan of Gene Hackman.
I have been in the right role. I really liked him. So.
I know he was a fantastic actor. So and there were certain roles that he was, you can't really see anybody else playing. I mean, Unforgiven.
Oh God, yeah.
He's so good in Unforgiven, and almost the same character in Quick and the Dead.
That movie I think that's an underrated movie.
It is.
I enjoy that movie. It's got some really cool, silly camera angles and shots that I very much enjoy in that movie.
Yeah, I love Quick and the Dead. It's a great film. And he's another one of those actors that could almost do anything. He had great comedic roles, serious roles, and could really play anything.
Yeah, I agree.
He'd already retired, so it's been a while, but he had an amazing career. So this one to me was almost more tragic. Michelle Trachtenberg.
I think anyone dying that young is.
She was only 39, and I think she still had stuff to do. There was still.
Oh, for sure. It sounds to me like because she had a liver transplant recently, right?
Yeah.
It sounds like it was probably complications from that, but it's man. Do you know it's so fucking rare, and I think it speaks to her and the writers of Buffy. It is fucking rare for you to bring in a child sidekick into a show.
Yeah.
And for it not to annoy the crap out of me.
Yep.
But Dawn was awesome. That role, the way they integrated her into the story worked really well, and as the show went on, she grew on me so much.
That fucking because she was introduced right at the end of the season, wasn't she?
Yeah.
What the fuck? Where's sister? What? Hey.
Yeah, and I thought they jumped the shark, man, massively. But
I think the great thing about, and maybe it was because of her.
It may well be. I mean, her performance was fantastic.
For the I don't know how many episodes, I was like, this is shit.
Same. Yeah, totally.
I do not want this character. But my God, what happens to her character when you realise what's going on?
It's so good once you get the reveal. And
she ends up with this really weird sort of relationship with Spike.
Yeah.
Spike kind of becomes her protector.
He's like surrogate father or something.
It's really fucking weird and brilliant.
Yeah.
She was so wonderful.
And she went on to have great performances, from that point.
I love you. I think Eurotrip. It was one of those movies that it comes at that sort of tail end of those type of movies. There's a whole slew of those.
Oh yeah.
Euro trip movies and most of them were fucking awful, but I think Euro Trip was genuinely funny. It had some real heart to it, and she's great in it. And I though I haven't seen Gossip Girl, I heard she's really great as this sort of almost like a bad guy in that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think
Yeah, real tragedy.
Real tragic,
yeah.
One more, not a actor, although he did act, and one of one of the roles that he was known for, we have covered. David Johansen from the New York Dolls.
Yeah.
Who was just a really fucking cool guy. The New York Dolls are a fucking amazing band, and he's been a musician since the 70s, which is wonderful, brilliant thing. And he did appear. He was in movies and he was in TV, but most famously he was in Scrooged as the Ghost of Christmas Past.
Yep.
And he's one of my favourite parts of that movie.
He's great. Yeah, he's fantastic.
So wonderful.
We have covered Scrooged, right?
Yes, we have. We did indeed.
My memory is so bad these days. I'm pretty sure we've covered that one.
Yeah. So apparently with him it was cancer, but
oh no.
Yeah, so he was diagnosed with a brain tumor, cancer and a brain tumor in 2020, which ended his music career.
Mm.
And then he broke his back in 2 places.
Oh God!
Required surgery. So he's not had a fun time lately.
Mm.
But so he died from cancer in February at 75.
Wow.
So yeah, wonderful musician.
Yeah.
Best. I think that's it for those. It's the only bit of news that interested me was Netflix are doing an adaptation of Cujo.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's an odd one to adapt, but go for it. Why not?
Kind of, that's what I thought, because the movie is interesting.
The movie is cracktastic.
Yes, it's not a great movie, but it's got some. Really
it's fun though. Like, it's fun for probably the wrong reasons, but it's a lot of fun. Yeah. It's
also got a happier ending than the book does.
Yeah. Of all of the adaptations, that I wouldn't have put that one high on my list.
No, but that's what.
Fair enough. I'm kind of intrigued.
That's kind of why it caught my attention.
Yeah.
Sort of like I can see them doing lots of King stuff, all the big ones. Cujo is one of those ones that you think, wow, it's like Rabbit Dog movie. It's like it's a really low key thing.
Do you know, a friend of mine came round a couple of Saturdays ago, and we were like, we're like not sure what to watch. We were like scrolling through, and I was like, she chose, actually, not to me. She was like, because she was like, oh man, I haven't watched Maximum Overdrive forever. I was like, let's fucking do Maximum Overdrive. So much fun. Terrible movie, but so much fun.
I fucking love that film.
Yeah, but that's what we were discussing. We were like, well, that could be an adaptation. Do that one. Do that, Netflix. Do Maximum Overdrive. That'd be fun. After that, I was like, well, if we're doing bad movies, I was like, we need to watch it, because then I was like, right, let's watch Hell Comes to Frogtown. So we did a double bill of Maximum Overdrive and Hell Comes to Frogtown, because I was like, well, if we're doing shit but fun movies.
The stuff that I love about Maximum Overdrive
is
just it's a movie that King did himself while he was
high on coke,
shoveling copious amounts of coke up his fucking nose.
Didn't he's even quoted as saying it's a moron of a movie or something like that? Yeah.
And I don't think he remembers half of what he did.
I have such a soft spot for that movie. It's so dumb.
It's great.
And it makes no sense.
No.
Like the continuity of so what is alive? Yes. And how does it work? When it was just the cars, I'm like, okay, maybe it's just the cars and the trucks. But then there's a bit where there's like a gun that starts firing, and then you're like, well, then if that works, why are the doors opening for people? And why don't it just gets to the point where you're like, why does anything work? Like, why does the torch stay on? Why doesn't the torch start turning itself off now at this stage? Like, just such a silly movie.
Doesn't matter.
But hey, it was in that period of time where if it had a Sheen or an Estevez in it, I was going to watch it, and goddamn, I had a good time.
I remember seeing the trailer to that movie, and it's like, that fucking truck is the coolest thing.
It still is. It still is the coolest thing. It still is cool.
It's fucking awesome. It's like, how did they get away with having a Green Goblin truck? It's weird.
Well, we were discussing that. We were trying to work out how they got around that. And it's like, well, maybe they just sold those for trucks and they got away with it that way. I don't know.
No, I don't.
Or maybe because it's Stephen King, they were just like, yeah, okay, Stephen King.
Sure, go for it. Yeah, maybe.
He won't make a terrible movie. I'm sure it'll be fine. But dude, it's the one thing everyone remembers from that movie, right? I mean, other than the the kids getting run over by the steamroller.
Yes.
That's the two scenes people remember. But everyone remembers that truck. So
yeah, it's such a fucking silly movie that
really
I love. It's yeah. So I think the thing is that there are so many bad Stephen King movies that he got a reputation. I mean, not personally, as it were, but Stephen King movies have a reputation of just being bad adaptations in general.
Yes, and frustratingly, even when he's done them, they've been bad adaptations.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
both times that I'm aware of.
And I think in recent years, they whether they found the right directors or the people are slightly more passionate about it. I think in recent years that King adaptations have got better. And
there are some I really enjoy though from back in the day. You know.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I love the original Salem's Lot. I think
me too. I think Salem's Lot's great. I love The Shining. Obviously, I know it's quite different, the Kubrick version, but I do love that movie. I don't like the miniseries that King made.
I know people hate it, but I love Christine.
I love Christine. Christine's cool.
I think Christine's a fantastic movie.
Yeah, I totally agree.
But yeah, and the thing of is, I think a lot of those movies that
and of course, let's not forget Creepshow, King's greatest performance of all time.
He's great in Creepshow. Meteor shit.
Such a good short.
Yeah, I think, and the thing is because there's a lot of really shit, movies out there. Why aren't people remaking those?
Yeah, remake Silver Bullet or something.
Yes, and there's a movie that is terrible, but I love.
It's got one amazing scene.
Yeah,
with a firework. If you've seen the movie, you know what scene it is.
The church scene's great too.
Oh yeah, sorry, actually that's true. Yeah.
The church scene's really good.
But that's one you could adapt. You could do an adaptation of that, and I would be like, okay, I can see why you've chosen that. Cujo, I'm like, okay, why? But fine.
That should be a TV series.
Yes, that would be a great TV series.
Oh, what's his name? The guy who did Hill House and stuff.
Oh yeah, I can't think of his name either right now. But yes, I know who you mean. That would be great.
He should do Cycle of the Werewolf. That would be
that would be cool. But
Cujo, that's my favourite Stephen King things, and mainly because it's drawn by Bernie Wrightson.
Right, yeah.
It's a short thing, and it's the illustrations by Bernie Wrightson that just elevate that to God status. The thing about the movie is I love Busey is
he's great. The
uncle just being Gary Busey, and then
he doesn't even act. He just is Gary Busey in that movie.
Gary Busey. And then the thing is, it's so removed from the story. The story is
it just doesn't even.
It's a kid in a wheelchair. It's no. What we're going to do in this adaptation is Uncle Gary is going to make a fucking turbocharged
rocket wheelchair for this child.
Sure, why not? So it's a terrible movie, but I love it. And there's a lot that definitely could be remade, I think, and Cujo's an odd choice, but I'm intrigued.
But
let's see how it goes.
The rocket chair's called Silver Bullet. Don't you get it? Silver bullets, werewolves. Yeah, Cujo is such a weird choice. But the problem is it's worked because now I have to see it.
Yep.
You're making Cujo. Okay. Yep. I'm sold. I will definitely watch it.
Yep. Yeah.
Why not?
That's basically it.
All right. Well, I feel like we ended on a high. We got past all of the unfortunate deaths and the less said about the Oscars, not mentioning a bunch of people that died last year, the better. Turner Classic Movies was always the better for that, though. TCM were always better at the bloody honouring.
That's because TCM gives a shit.
Yes. Exactly.
I don't think the Oscars really care.
No, they don't.
So, TCM is run by people that always seem to like movies and know what they're doing.
There's real passion with TCM. I've always felt that way about TCM, actually. Anyway, what are we doing next time? Have you had any thoughts yet?
We did discuss it. There was 2 choices.
Right.
Do you remember what they were?
No. Memory, Matt. My
So-
memory is gone. As soon as I hit 40, everything went to shit. So.
The 2 choices are Con Air.
Oh no! Oh my god! How did I forget Con Air and fucking Face Off?
No, not Face Off.
Oh.
Con Air and Tango and Cash.
Oh shit! Yeah. Oh yeah, because Face Off is our end game. That's like the last episode we ever do of the show. Because it's all that you can't do better than Face Off. That's like the greatest film ever made.
I think Face Off, we're going to have to be in the same.
We need to be drunk to watch Face Off and review Face Off. That needs to be a drunk review in person. Yeah, I agree. Face Off is like one of the best bad movies ever made.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't mind. I could go either way. Do you have a preference?
Do we want over the top that everybody's seen, or over the top that fewer people have seen?
Oh man. Do you know? I feel like my nature is always to go with the older film, but maybe we should do Con Air.
Okay, Con Air is then.
Because, fuck it, Con Air's hilarious.
Yeah.
And we haven't done a modern movie for a while.
You know, that's, yeah.
It's been a while. And I call it modern. It's not modern, I know, but in my mind,
I know. That's one of those things when you actually see how old that movie is. Your
probably
brain,
make me cry, but yeah.
Yeah, your brain melts a bit.
But hey, we love Nick Cage, so it's.
We do. I mean, I think it's well established on this show that we fucking adore Nick Cage.
Oh yeah.
And we will quite happily watch any shit that he's in.
Yeah. And we're not calling Face Off shit. Face Off is amazing.
No, but luckily at this point in time, he's in some good stuff. Have you seen the trailer for his latest one?
No, I haven't.
Surf one.
I'll
it
check
looks
that out.
fucking really good.
Oh, cool.
Shit, I can't remember what it's called. It's like he's going back to the town where he grew up. Only now it's like full of weird nut jobs who surf.
Okay.
And he's got a son, and it's like he gets embarrassed in front of his son and stuff, and it's got real tension in it. Hang on, let me check if I can.
Well, I'll check it out when we.
Yeah, it looks really fucking cool. It's like a really tense fucking trailer. Where is it?
Oh, cool. Well, I will watch that as soon as this is over. We will be back next week with Con Air. In the meantime, stay safe, take care, and we will catch you next time.